The United States bombed Iran. Democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani wins the Democratic mayoral primary. Two seismic developments. We deal with both. The Point starts right now. It has been a busy week for Ophir Kunis, the Consul General of Israel in New York, especially since the United States decided to bomb Iran. I guess the question that a lot of people are asking is, do we know now the extent of the damage?
First of all, it wasn't the only week. Every week is very busy, but you're right, that was maybe the busiest. We just heard the President of the United States, the Israeli Prime Minister, our intelligence, the American intelligence, the Minister of Defense here. So, you know, we can't be sure that we destroyed it. I'm talking about for the nuclear weapon, yeah, sites, 100%. But it's very close to 100%, very close. We saved the world. The American troops, the Israeli troops, both of us together, we saved the Western civilization.
But, you know, the Ayatollah is trying to say that it didn't delay their nuclear program that much.
I heard them.
And so I'm wondering whether that's just a public relations campaign for the people of Iran, or it really means something. What's your assessment of that?
Do you believe them? Do you believe? I said 10 days ago, something like that, maybe 2 weeks ago, that we appreciate the fact that the President of the United States decided to negotiate with the Iranians, with the Ayatollahs, as you said, but we don't think that nothing will happen through the negotiations. And as you saw, that's of course. Why? Because they are big liars. Now, they, as you said, Marsha, they want to save themselves. They don't want that the Iranians, and by the way, we don't have any problem with the Iranian people. We are talking about the Ayatollahs. They are the biggest problem of the world since 1979.
Because they sponsor state terrorism in a lot of places around the Middle East.
Of course, I want to tell you something about it. They used, first of all, the Hezbollah, and then Hamas on October 7th, of course, and the Yemens as well, the Houthis. And they want to stay, you know, just watch their proxies.
Yeah, but they give them the weapons.
That's right, of course.
Money.
Of course. Most of the Iranian weapon, they smuggled the weapon through Syria, yeah, to Lebanon. Then they smuggled the weapon to Yemen, to the Persian Gulf. And actually, they want to use the Houthis, the Yemens, to use their nuclear bomb. That was very close, by the way. It was so close, something like, let's say, weeks from a nuclear bomb. And they wanted the Yemens will use the Iranian missiles they smuggled from Iran to Yemen to actually toward Israel.
So and we stopped it. I need to ask you this question. What role did it play that before the United States got involved, that the Israeli government was able to kill a number of generals and people, scientists and people who were involved in building a nuclear bomb? We
did it by ourselves. We thought that it was very close to the end of their, actually, an Iranian success to develop the nuclear weapon by those scientists and the head of their army, and we prevented.
But by killing them, doesn't that further delay their ability to try to build another program?
If that will be their policy, first of all, I hope that now we are finding ourselves, all of us, the Americans, the Europeans, and the Israelis, in a new situation, a new era in the Middle East. Of course, that if there will be, I don't know, an agreement, every agreement must, you know, prevent them to progress a new nuclear sites and nuclear weapon program.
But I guess the question a lot of people ask is, if they don't tell the truth, which you just said they
That's
don't tell the truth,
exactly.
How will you know whether they're not secretly trying to rearm themselves? I mean, after the bombing, there were stories that said that they had a secret location that they have, you know.
And we heard that they smuggled some of the material to China. We heard it, and I will tell you the question.
Did they?
No, we don't think so. We think that we have a very, very, very good intelligence. So next time that I'll come here, I can give you an answer. I think that they will not dare to do it. You know why? Because they just, actually they're still seeing the results of our operation. And the American, of course.
Also, during this whole thing, President Trump hinted that the American government has the ability to assassinate the Ayatollah if it wanted, but they were going to let him live.
You know, I want to tell you something about
wouldn't that destabilize the country in a way that you might not want? I
want to tell you something about it. We said in the beginning that there's two goals to the operation: to prevent them a nuclear weapon and to destroy their nuclear sites, and to prevent them from using, not to progress, to using their ballistic missiles. By the way, they fired hundreds of their ballistic missiles toward hospitals, kindergartens, schools in Israel. But you know what was their big plan? To use intercontinental ballistic missiles toward, first of all, Europe, and then to this place. How do I know it? How do we know it? They said from 1979, they said that to America, that to Israel. So they want to use their intercontinental missiles to kill the American people.
So, but here's another question. You know, much was made of the fact that they fired so many missiles that their stockpile had been depleted. But people, you know, would wonder, are they being resupplied by the Russians, the Chinese, the Koreans, and will they be able to, you know, arm up again after they had fired a lot of their weapons?
So the answer is very simple. We will do whatever it's necessary to prevent it. We can do it. We have the ability.
Can you cut the supply chain off?
You know, I will tell you about China. If China will do it, I think that it will be a huge mistake. A huge mistake. I'm not talking about the Russians, because the Chinese, the Russians, the Koreans, and the entire world saw the Israeli abilities. And I said, I think it was the very first day of the operation, I said, don't mess with Israel. I was right? I think so.
So what's the next step? Is there a regime change? No,
the Iranian people will decide. I think that they are suffered from the Ayatollah's regime.
Well, there's also been an embargo, so that's affected people as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons that they need to want a new regime in Iran. But if they will do it, I think that it will be their decision.
Okay, and on that note, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But we will be right back to sort out the stunning developments in the Democratic mayoral primary. I am joined now by the boys, J.C. Polanco, assistant professor at the University of Mount St. Vincent, and political consultant O'Brien Murray. So believe it or not, we're going to start talking about Andrew Cuomo, because Friday was the deadline for him taking himself off the independent line that he had established. But he decided not to do that, so whether he campaigns or not remains to be seen, but he will be on the ballot come November. What effect is that going to have on the mayoral race in New York City?
I think, Marcia, the biggest thing is that's an example that the ballot will take a while to set. You cannot actually call on a candidate. It's a law. I get all this we're talking about right now. But right now, what if this shifts 5 points either way? What if the counties switch? You have a major situation here where New York City has ranked choice voting, no final, election day was Tuesday, no final results. How can you make a decision on the ballot when you may not even have the results? What if this was a 2-point race? He still would have to make the decision. Whatever he decided, he decides.
No, you're missing the point. The point is that his name will be on the ballot.
Yes, it will be.
They decided not to take his name off the ballot. They had until Friday to do it. They're leaving him on the ballot. He will be on the ballot come November, no matter what happens.
He will be on the ballot, no matter what.
JC.
Yeah, he's on the ballot. It's going to be a problem for those that don't want to see Assemblyman Mamdani win in November. Having Andrew Cuomo on the ballot represents a big problem for Mayor Eric Adams and for Curtis Lewa. They're trying to join somehow, try to get enough voters out there that don't want to see Assemblyman Mamdani get elected. They think that they can create a coalition to defeat Assemblyman Mamdani, but with Andrew Cuomo on the ballot, it's going to become very difficult for that to happen.
But as Obi points out, the bottom line is this: you could be on the ballot, but that doesn't mean you have to campaign. So the question is, if he decides to campaign, how does that affect the election?
Marcia, my campaign world, and I had a case with Jack Martins in 2016 that went one step before the Supreme Court as a campaign guy. If I was Eric Adams, the minute that, if it happens, Andrew Cuomo suspends his campaign, I'd go to court, get him off the ballot, say it was not properly organized, where he had to decide.
Can he do that?
No.
No, anyone can go to court.
Obi.
Anybody can go to court.
Yeah,
Obi, it's too late.
This date shows the ineffectiveness of the organization.
The law, who can win? Andrew Cuomo?
I mean, you're a lawyer.
I am.
As Obi says, could anybody, either Mamdani or Eric Adams, go to court and have Andrew Cuomo taken off?
There is no legal basis for it. The law is clear. The only way that could have happened is he were to step down from that by Friday. It's over. He didn't do it. It's on. And the only way that, for example, there could be any sort of unification, let's say that in some alternative universe, Republican candidate Curtis Lewa, which he's not going to do it, says, I'm going to withdraw so that Eric Adams could become the candidate for mayor on the Republican line. That would be an impossibility unless Curtis Lewa were to die, God forbid, because he's a great guy, or become a judge, or were to be convicted of a felony or move out of state. And he has made it very clear he's not leaving. This situation here, for those analysts out there, including you, Obi, understand, it makes it almost impossible for an Assemblyman Mamdani to lose in November, considering that the Democratic Party is unifying behind him.
JC, I have taken a case to the Supreme Court, not as a lawyer, but as a political person running a think tank in D.C. I'm telling you, if I worked for Eric Adams, I would be talking to lawyers today to say, if Cuomo suspends his campaign, this is not right. It's only the second time we've had the ranked choice voting citywide. There's a flaw in the system. The courts can decide.
That's not an argument, and it's not going to win. Look, your viewers want to know, can Andrew Cuomo win? Can Assemblyman Mamdani lose? If you have the opposition split the way it is right now, it's going to be impossible, especially when we see Assemblyman Mamdani unifying the Democratic Party. He has the support of Jerry Nadler. He has the support of Mark Levine. We saw the Brooklyn chair come out and say we have to unify. It is going to be impossible to launch an opposition with a divided opposition.
Let me ask you a question, though. So right after the election, there was a new poll that was done by the Honan Strategy Group, which found that if Andrew Cuomo stays in the race, it would be a dead heat with Zohran Mamdani. So do you think that's just wishful thinking on the part of some people, or is it real? And does the fact that different people get to vote in a general election, like independents like yourself, do you think that that matters and that Andrew Cuomo has a shot, having lost the race decisively to Mamdani?
He lost the race decisively, no question about it. But one of the things we have here now is the unification of the Democratic Party. You will not have it until Election Day with Eric Adams on the ballot and Mamdani on the Democratic line. It's not going to happen. The party will be split and fractured nationally. Everyone will have to answer for Mamdani. It's amazing what's going to happen nationally. This New York City election is an example of how important New York City is to the country and what these arguments are. This is one of the most progressive candidates. You have the Boston mayor is right now the one. You have one of them that could be horrendous for the future of the city, and the city has to unify to determine going forward. And Orange Man Bad, I've sat on this couch, is not a good campaign. Mamdani bad is not a good campaign either. We must have concrete facts that move the voters.
The truth is this. In the next several months, Assemblyman Mamdani will become more popular. He will have more press. He will be able to raise more money. He'll become a more national presence. And the Democrats are lining up behind him. Once Congressman Nadler, the chair of the Jewish caucus in Congress, supported Assemblyman Mamdani, future controller Mark Levine supported Assemblyman Mamdani, we're going to start seeing the Democratic Party unify. What Democrat in his right mind is going to want to go against Assemblyman Mamdani and face a primary from the left? No one will. You're going to have a unified Democratic Party in November. We're seeing it already.
So do you think that Andrew Cuomo has a chance?
I don't think he has a chance right now in the ballot with Eric Adams on. I think one of them on the ballot changed it, or Sliwa. There has to be a situation. We talked about this with the progressives. Unifying. The progressives unified in the primary. The non-progressives of this city, the people that care about everything. Rebney saved the city in the 70s, writing checks, the real estate guys, to pay our taxes early. We need to come together as a city for our future.
Let's talk about this poll for a second, because the poll took into effect if one or the two people got out of the race. If Eric Adams got out of the race, the poll said Andrew Cuomo would beat Mamdani 44-40. But it also said if Cuomo got out of the race, Mamdani would beat Eric Adams by about 15 points.
Yep, and the reason for that is that you have a unified Democratic Party. Eric Adams is going to launch a strong campaign, and we already saw his kickoff. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Let me explain, Marsha.
Does he have a path?
No, the path
Does Eric Adams have a
It'll
path?
be very difficult. Let me explain, Marsha. This is very quick. The last time we had an independent mayor run and win was Michael Bloomberg.
Right.
And Michael Bloomberg had $300 million and the support of a major party line. He, as an independent who had left the Republican Party, secured the Republican line. It was the only way as an independent he was able to win. And now you have an independent running without a major party line. It is almost impossible. And without hundreds of millions of dollars.
The Cuomo loss was a kiss of death, I believe, potentially for Curtis Sliwa. Depending upon how this ballot looks at the end with who's on it, with Cuomo campaigning or not, you have the problem that Curtis Sliwa has a ceiling. The R next to any candidate in New York City has a ceiling.
Even if he gets Trump support?
We know what Trump's number is. We know what Zeldin's number is. We know what happens in New York City for Republicans citywide. Fact.
Yep.
Curtis has to get greater than that without Cuomo having a Democratic line. That's the problem. Mamdani will gain voters. He'll have momentum.
Yes.
It must be stopped. The facts must come out, whatever they are. The research has to be done. So much research on politicians come in so late lately in these campaigns. This was almost a special election. His rise was so severe at the end, and fantastic. Bravo to him. Great campaign. But the Oppo research wasn't out a year ago. Yeah. That's one of the challenges here.
You know, I don't think Oppo research matters anymore. I don't think union endorsements matter anymore. I don't think elected officials' endorsements matter anymore. The elections and campaigns have changed dramatically. Assemblyman Mamdani demonstrated that. You no longer need to have all that experience. You no longer need all the unions. If you are able to launch an effective marketing campaign, a social media marketing campaign, galvanize voters across the city. And you know what else Assemblyman Mamdani did? 25%, according to a journalist, Bridget Bergen, 25% of all the voters on primary day were new voters. And we know he brought them in.
Early voting was that. I've asked the question about primary day. I don't know it yet. But before the election, 25% of those voters were new voters. How many did it on primary day? How many can Mamdani's organization do in the next 3 months? That's going to only increase. I think that's one of his benefits.
Yeah.
He connected to voters. Any attack must connect to voters. All these attacks previously had no money behind him to speak of. He was bad.
Cuomo had tens of millions of dollars talking about experience, talking about the globalized intifada that he mentioned. Nothing mattered. Nothing matters. This is one for the history books.
Campaign 101. Define yourself before your opponent does. Bravo to Mamdani. Nobody went negative. That's one of the challenges with ranked choice voting.
This was the most negative thing I've ever seen, Obi. This is the most negative campaigning I've ever seen in my life.
When you go negative, you have to start earlier. You have to define your opponent. I used to term ugly. If everyone is so beautiful, when you call them ugly, no, she's already beautiful. He's already beautiful. You have to define early and define yourself. Every campaign, that's campaign 101.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversations continue right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Thank you for joining me. You know what they say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. What are New Yorkers doing to deal with hot town summer in the city? Are the back of their necks getting dirty and gritty? To quote the Loving Spoonful, well, they're weighing in on your point.
How's the weather, guys?
Oh my God, amazing.
Fantastic. It's pretty hot. I'm from Florida, but this is hotter.
It's good. It's not too bad.
It's really hot.
Really nice, very warm.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
The weather report said it's a heat wave.
It's beautiful. Yeah, plenty hot. I don't need it any warmer.
It's not ideal, but every time this happens, everyone acts like it never has before. So you get through it.
Today is quite pleasant. It's a little warm. I'm wearing my my boots, my low-rise boots, and I'm comfortable.
Oh, the weather is good. We need it.
You like hot?
Yeah, we need it sometimes. We need all the weathers.
How would you describe it?
Sizzling.
Very hot.
Hot and humid.
Hot and muggy.
How are you wearing the hoodie? Like, this is, you must be roasting hot.
It's not that hot because it's white.
I live in the Middle East, so it's relatively cool here relative to there in the summer.
It's not for me. It's normal. It's hot, cold, hot. It's in New York City.
It doesn't feel like New York, does it? It's too hot.
What's the best thing about summer heat?
Could play with water, go to parks, have water gun fights.
You don't have to wear as much clothing.
That you could walk around with shorts and carefree, not carrying too many bundles and things like that.
It drives you to the beach.
Oh, God. The best thing about summer heat is to get outside. Enjoy the weather.
The best thing about it, there's not one.
There's nothing good about it.
I can't think of anything.
So what's the worst thing?
It's just too hot to be out.
Oh, God. I guess being sweaty all day.
I don't know. At this stage of my life, I don't sweat that much. I'm very comfortable.
Being in the subway stations is the worst thing, actually.
Heat stroke or heat exhaustion, stuff like that.
Sweating and passing out. That's why I'm sitting here now. I just came off the subway and we're just trying to collect myself before...
Catch your breath.
Catch my breath before going 6 blocks more for a restaurant.
How are you going to stay cool?
Drinking water, showering regularly.
Lots of water, lemonade.
Lemonade.
See.
Ice cream?
Mm-hmm. Ice cream, popsicles.
Well, I'm trying to dress cool and drink a lot.
Getting home and getting underneath my AC. That's
AC.
about all I can do.
How are you going to stay cool?
Inside.
You're going to stay inside?
How about you?
I wish I could stay inside.